Hello everybody, welcome back to Cosmic Drugs. In today's video, I'm going to be reading Lil Peep's birth chart. Rest in peace.
Golf boy clip.
For those of you that have no idea what a birth chart is, it is a screenshot of where all the planets were in the sky at your moment of birth. And that trickles down into the person that you are and your life. When you look into somebody's birth chart, you don't see what they want you to see. You see into their soul. Like, every human being wants to be seen a certain way, so they put on a certain persona for the world to see. But when you have access to somebody's birth chart, you see the real them. You see their soul contract. And that's what we're gonna do today. Look into Lil Peep's soul. Now, the reason I'm even doing this reading for Lil Peep is because he touched my soul. If you have listened to him, you know there's something about Lil Peep that he feeds people's souls through his music. He had such an aura to him that attracted a certain type of person, a hurt person. His music was very sad and he spoke his feelings through his music. And he created a whole different genre of music.
I was looking at my Wikipedia page. The genres was like alternative rock, like R&B, hip hop, trap, emo, pop punk. So they don't really know what to call it.
And I wanted to see if there was anything in his birth chart that pointed to the special person that he was. So let's pop Lil Peep's birth chart right up here. You guys may see me looking at my phone throughout this video because I like to read birth charts like off the cuff. I don't like to pre-plan my readings. I like to speak intuitively because I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I like to do it, you know, off the cuff. Okay, so first of all, Lil Peep was a Scorpio. Oh boy, a sexy, you know, mysterious little Scorpio. What's Scorpio? What do Scorpios represent? They are emotional, they are sensitive, they could be dark.
Oh, kill me in my white tee, baby, let my blood flow, let my blood flow.
Being a Scorpio is very hard because Scorpio is the most intense sign. It feels emotions so deeply.
Well, that's why I got the crybaby tat on my face. I got a humongous tattoo that says crybaby and shit to keep me grateful and remind me not to be a crybaby.
Scorpios don't like superficial things. Scorpios could read people.
You hated people in school and you told people in school hated you. What did you learn from that?
Most people suck.
Scorpios just don't fit in society like normal people because they see through everybody.
I think a lot of people are also very ungrateful.
The thing to remember about Scorpios though, they are very secretive. They don't like people knowing everything about them.
Ultimate fetish.
These people aren't ready to hear the sick shit that I'm into. I'll pretend I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll tell them about the gagging.
I got a few.
Never mind, fuck that.
I don't know.
So there could have been things about Lil Peep that nobody knew about. His sun was in the 11th house. And when you have a sun that is in the 11th house, your area of focus is going to be on groups of people. The 11th house represents groups, organizations. And he has his sun conjunct Mercury in Scorpio. And that is so like crazy because Mercury, for those of you that don't know, is the planet of communication, how you communicate. And it is conjunct his sun in the 11th house. What does that say to me as an astrologer? That he was able to speak to the world through his music, through Mercury, because he wrote his own lyrics.
I'm really crazy with lyrics, so people get shocked with me. I could listen to a song 2 times and learn all the lyrics to it.
Like, that's what Mercury is, writing down things, communicating, and that is how he communicated. Lil Peep's moon is in Cancer in the 8th house. And what does having a Cancer moon mean?
If you meet me in real life, you'll find out that I'm not very confident and I'm a very sensitive person. And I have a lot of insecurities.
You feel emotions so much more than any other moon placement, And not only is it in Cancer, but it's also in the 8th house. And the 8th house is all about death and rebirth, occult knowledge.
Witchcraft, love chance, whisper in my ear, put me in a trance.
The 8th house could also be about like connection, like wanting to connect with somebody on a soul level, deep level. The 8th house is not superficial. The 8th house is not superficial. Like, he wanted to feel his emotions and he wanted to connect on a soul-to-soul basis to people. He was not superficial at all. At all. He spoke from his soul. His Mercury was also in Scorpio, so that means that his lyrics, his music, the way he communicated, he spoke how he felt, and you know, he spoke with intensity. It's crazy to see that he is also a Sag rising. And when you have a Sagittarius rising, that means like you can come across as like really fun.
Right foot, 2 stops.
Sagittariuses are funny, kind, lighthearted, and you know, Lil Peep has a lot of funny little videos that he did.
Listen, man, I don't really want any problems with you. I just wanted to speak to your father to see if you could maybe reimburse the money that was stolen, you know what I mean?
But you got to remember, your ascendant, your rising sign is just how you appear to the world. It is how you appear to the world, and that doesn't necessarily mean that's how you are. How you are is your sun and your moon. And all the other planets play a role as well, but you have to remember, he was a Scorpio. He had a Cancer moon. Those are both water signs. That means he was super emotional, and you could see that in his music. Because he was a Sag rising, you have to look at the ruling planet of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter. And Jupiter was placed in his 2nd house and of money and career, and Jupiter is all about expansive, making things bigger. And I believe because he had this placement, that's why it was so easy for him to achieve his goals that brought him wealth and possessions. And not to mention, it is sextile to his Mercury. Mercury, all about communications. He made money by communicating his feelings. And if you want a little secret, let me tell you, if you want to know how you should be making money in your life, you need to look at the 2nd house. Any planets that you have in the 2nd house will give you a key into what you should be doing in this life to be making money. If you don't have planets in the 2nd house, that's okay. Look to the sign that the 2nd house rules. He also has his Neptune and his Uranus in the 2nd house. Uranus is all about being different, you know, going against the norm. And that's what he did. He did not want to have a regular job. Like, he wanted to make money in his own unique way, and Uranus is all about uniqueness, and that's how he made his money. He got tattoos, face tattoos, when not a lot of people were doing that. But Neptune, we also have to remember Neptune. Neptune being in the 2nd house could symbolize somebody not realizing their own self-worth. Because Neptune could be illusionary. And when it's in the 2nd house, that could signify that he didn't realize how great he actually was. But he did luck out because Neptune wasn't the only planet in that 2nd house. So that Jupiter being there and that Uranus being there definitely helped him out with his career and the money that he did make.
All the money that I make now, I never let it change me.
And he has his Chiron in the 10th house of career. Chiron is called the wounded healer. Chiron is like an asteroid. It's not really a planet, but it plays a big role in astrology because it's the wounded healer. And, you know, he did have some problems within his career life. He had issues with like little Tracy.
But did it have to be a full breakup? Like, was it that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no other.
Fuck that. Where I'm from, like,
He basically dug his grave.
His moon is connected to his Chiron, and it's a square as well, which means it's troublesome. And Chiron is the wounded healer, and the moon is your emotions. So having that aspect, he had a lot of issues with his career, and he was linked emotionally to his career, and he had a lot of, you know, wounds connected to his career, and they weren't superficial to him. Like, he really felt them. There are artists that thrive off, you know, issues in their career, because some people think like, you know, no publicity is bad publicity, but he really felt connected to those issues. And also his Venus is in the 10th house. So he loved his career. That was his passion. Venus doesn't even only mean like how you love, it means what you love. And he loved his career. He also has his North Node in the 10th house, and the North Node is what you're supposed to aim for in this life. And the North Node is always opposing a South Node. And the South Node is what you may be drawn to, but you need to not place your energy there in this life. And his North Node, wow, is in the 4th house. The 4th house is all about your family and roots. And not only is the North Node in the 4th house, but he also has his Saturn in the 4th house of family and roots. And Saturn is all about restrictions, problems.
I had a pretty fucked up childhood. A lot of weird shit happened to me when I was really young. And I think it fucked with my head.
He had issues with his father, and that is linked to the 4th house because it's all about family and roots. I said that. But it's crazy how the birth chart just like tells a story about somebody's life, and it's saying his life right here. He loved his career. His sun was in the 11th house of groups and organizations. Along with his Mercury, he wanted to get his story out to people. He wanted to get his music out to groups, society. And he had issues in his family life, family and roots. And not only that, but his South Node was in there. So it's really great to see that he didn't fall into the trap of the South Node, because the South Node could be a trap, because he may have wanted to stay home with his mom, but he moved to California when he was 17 because he followed his North Node. He did what he was supposed to do. Oh, and it's beautiful, and it's beautiful. And also something to note that is very important in his chart, he has his Pluto in the 12th house. Ugh, dun, dun, dun. Pluto is a malefic. It is all about death and rebirth and transformation and like death. Pluto can represent death and all bad things in your life, just like Saturn, but Saturn is a little more easier. Saturn is a test. Saturn is a little more superficial, where Pluto doesn't fuck around. Pluto will fucking kill you. And it is in the 12th house, and the 12th house is all about hidden things. The 12th house could represent addictions, and he very publicly suffered from an addiction.
It's the pain pills, man, it's getting real. It's the pain pills, man, it's getting real.
His Pluto is trining Saturn in the 4th house, so his addiction issues, his depression issues, because the 12th house can also represent mental illness.
I suffer from depression pretty bad, and yeah, I mean, that just like a lot of things like pile on top of each other and just kind of like fuck with me. I think I'm chemically imbalanced.
And he did have depression, he did have anxiety, along with his addiction. So it is linked to the 4th house. So the 4th house could be a big reason why he suffered from addiction, why he was so depressed. Now let's jump back to his moon in Cancer. When somebody has a moon in Cancer, that can mean that they're very close to their mother, because the moon can represent the mother, and when the moon is in its own sign, it's exalted there, it's happy there. So he must have been very close to his mom, and yeah, he was. His name was from his mom.
I got the name Lil Peep because since I was a small baby, my mom has called me Peep.
His very first tattoo he ever got was his mom's birthday.
Yeah, here's a birthday. 10/27.
And it's crazy. I'm sorry. It's just so crazy when you look into somebody's chart and like it spells out their life for them. What's also interesting about his chart is the Venus, which is in the 10th house of career, is trining both his Neptune and Uranus in the 2nd house of possessions and money. And so when Venus is linked to Uranus and Neptune, he could have used that for his creative potential. And he linked his money and possessions to the house of career, and they work symbiotically. So that was very good for him. Now he has his Mars in Virgo. So that could mean that his actions were like a Virgo. So he may have been a planner.
How we're gonna do it is you guys are gonna go on first, do your opening thing. And then like when we all come out, me, Jay, and Ghost, I'm gonna do them with you guys.
Virgos are very step by step, by the books, looking into the details of things.
Like you guys do your shit first, and then once us three come out, you know, I might do like, I'm probably gonna do Beamer Boy like second.
So he could have been very detail oriented. And to be a self-made artist, a self-made person to the position of that magnitude, you have to have some Virgo energy, you know, or have someone around you that has that Virgo energy, because you need that. You need that. And you need Capricorn energy, but he also had his Jupiter in Capricorn. Capricorns are all about working their way up the mountain, you know, success.
Like, you don't get here without working really fucking hard. So once you're here, you're like, fuck, I've done so much. Like, are you really surprised you're here? No.
His Mars is also in the 9th house. So the 9th house is all about long distance travel, wanting to experience different things. And he definitely played that out in his life. He moved when he was 17 years old across the country. He traveled and toured all throughout the world.
Pretty much, I flew around the entire circumference of the planet Earth. Trust me.
I also want to say this, and this is kind of controversial, but his 7th house was in Gemini. And when you have something linked to Gemini when it comes to relationships, it could symbolize, you know, bisexuality, because Geminis are the twins, two different people. And he was bisexual. Now, I'm not saying if you're a Gemini that all Geminis are bisexual, because that's not true. But when it's linked to something like that, you know, for the research, people have been finding a lot of bisexual people have links to the Gemini, if it's in their relationship house or their 8th house or like even their ascendant. Like, you know, don't shoot the messenger, okay? His Venus is opposing his Saturn, and that can represent that it's hard for him to show his emotions to his partners.
Senior year came and he finally showed me some public affection. He was never too good at that.
Because Saturn is restrictive, and if Saturn is connected to your Venus, it restricts that love. You may feel that love, you may feel very emotional and like love somebody, but it was hard for him to show that. And I don't know if there's anything where he has said that, because Scorpios, like I said, Scorpios could be very secretive. In his interviews, he never wanted to say too much. Like, he said just enough, like, about what they were asking, but he never got into really, you know, big details about his depression or about his troublesome childhood. He would say it, but he never wanted to get deep into it. And you can tell that in his body language during his interviews. His Venus is also sextiling his Pluto. And when you have any Plutonic influence on your Venus, that means that you are going to have a very crazy love life, like intense love life.
I watch her walk away, but don't tell me she ain't mine.
Whoever he was with, he changed their lives forever, because Scorpio in general, Scorpios will change people's lives, because Scorpio is all about death and rebirth. Scorpio wants to see the dark side of you. Scorpios want to see that dark side of people. They bring it out. They want to bring that out so they can transform people. And not only is he a Scorpio, but he has his Venus sextile his Pluto, and Pluto rules Scorpio. So when you think of Pluto, also think of Scorpio, and all about death and rebirth. So he had Plutonic relationships, and Plutonic relationships are not easy because they could be very intense. I hope everybody learned something from watching this video. Astrology amazes me every single day. I read birth charts for a living, and it never ceases to amaze me. If you would like your birth chart read professionally, I'll link my information in the description. And if you would like me to do a birth chart reading on any other celebrity, let me know down in the comments. And if they do have that birth chart available to the public, I would love to do it. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to make sure you check out for that video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Courtney Days, and this is Cosmic Drugs.
My message to the youth is stay aware of the shit that's happening around you, and don't get brainwashed by.
Do you want to know what it is?
You fuck around, period.
The Matrix is when I beat the case, out of space, so I'm in your face. Outer space, I got stars to chase. Got a duff for that suits the case. Got diamonds like I play an ace. I'll run it up. You got shoes to lace. I'll ran it up just to lose some weight. I'm an early bird and you running late. Working hard, so I lose sleep. I won't sleep till the family eat. Went to Phoenix Heaven, I felt the heat. Got your girl in my box of briefs. I want all the smoke cause I'm the chief. Execution if you're a thief.